Have you ever had your parents say, "Don't make me pull this car over or I'll make you walk"?
And then they actually do it, right?
That's what happens today.
They're crazy and insane. My crazy family.
If you want to share your crazy family story with us, write it in at crazyfampod.com or call toll free 833-CRAYFAM 833-272-9326 24/7 and share your crazy family stories with us. So, yeah, I remember, I think we've all heard the, if you don't stop doing that, I'm going to pull this car over or going to make you walk or whatever. And usually it's just a veiled threat and nothing ever really comes of it. But sometimes it does.
Did that ever happen to you?
I remember hearing, I'll pull this car over. But I don't know. I was just me. So I really wasn't one that got in. I wasn't ever like arguing or, causing a fuss with anybody else. I usually was just staring out the window aimlessly, listening to Celine Dion on my Walkman, singing, the greatest hits. But so not a lot. I remember being in vehicles that were like my uncle would do that with my cousins. But
God, yeah. Isn't that just the most awkward moment?
Oh, what's even more awkward is when you're in the middle of Pizza Hut and it's a busy Saturday night and one of them's acting up and he's like, "I'll pull your pants down right here and spank you in front of everybody." And he wasn't the quietest of individuals. He, you heard him. His voice carried. Even if he really wasn't trying, his voice kind of carried. And I remember some of those moments, and it was like, "Oh my God, please don't pull your child's pants down and spank them in front of everyone at Pizza Hut."
Oh, fuck. So every time you have a pan pizza, that's exactly what you're thinking of, isn't it?
There's a lot of things that come to mind. Yeah.
I'll tell you though, my mom, bless her soul, she's still alive, but I think this was some incredible parenting. Anytime we got in the car, she knew that I was a captive audience. We would have really hard discussions in the car.
Oh.
I had my sex talk in the car. I had talk about my future in the car.
Uh-huh.
It was like she knew that I was never going to jump out on the freeway at 70 miles an hour,
Did you ever attempt to? Did she lock the doors? Was her child locks?
Not
then.
at that time.
No.
No, they didn't have those. I could have just opened the door and jumped out.
Yeah.
But, I learned about blowjobs and...
Oh, my God. So you had an in-depth sex talk in the car.
Oh, fuck yeah. Mom was all about it. She knew that the minute that, she put it in reverse and we pulled out of the driveway, it was on.
What the hell was she like? So you ever give a buddy a blowjob?
I don't remember.
How did that conversation go?
Well, I just remember it being extremely awkward. And, speaking of staring out the window, that's kind of what I was doing, was like, "Oh God, please let this be over."
My parents never gave me a sex talk ever. The closest it came was in a car. And it was, I remember in like 6th grade or something, and the school was showing us, probably a film strip or something. About the boys are going to go over to this part of the gym and the girls are going to go over here, and we're going to learn about our bodies. And so I remember the gym teacher, running it, and then
it was always the gym teacher.
I know. It was
what the fuck do they know about that?
The person who's teaching sex ed is the same person who watches y'all get naked in the shower.
Yeah, that's a problem.
There's nothing weird or conflict of interest there.
No.
At all. But I remember, it was just, we already knew what the hell everything was, but it was just one of those archaic things that they do. And I remember my dad driving me or picking me up from something and driving me home. And I just remember being in his teal truck and him going, "So, they talked to you at school today about some things?" Didn't even address it. By word, is it some things? Yeah. You have any questions? No, I'm good. Okay. And that was it. That was the extent of the sex talk. There was nothing else.
God.
Ever.
Wow.
So
So the fact that you actually have a child is a triumph on your part. You figured it out, man. Good for you.
I think I would have figured out the how to make things work without my dad trying to inform me. And I'm happy we never had one, because I mean, there's so many conversations that are awkward there that like normal conversations can be awkward. Add that to the mix. God only knows how that would have gone. I was like, I got no questions. I'm good. I don't want to know anything from you actually on this topic.
Right.
Good. Totally good.
Oh, God, yeah. You don't want to learn it from the guy who's walking around in his tidy whities in the kitchen spilling coffee,
No, it's just like, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah. Thanks.
Did
what's
parents
for dinner?
Do parents even need to have the sex talk with their children anymore? I mean, maybe I think it should be more of an expectations talk than it is a sex talk. Because I think kids ultimately end up getting exposed to this shit far earlier than we want them to, because of just how fucking society works. Unless your child is living under a rock and you don't let them out, it's very difficult, I think, for them not to be exposed to this sort of stuff. But I think it's more so the expectation of, yes, that the porn, it's not real life.
None of that. Yeah,
and it shouldn't be.
You're right.
But I think that's the scary part. And I think that's also why we have a crazy influx of young women and men with their profile pictures and Instagram pictures and TikTok pictures that look like they're auditioning for porns.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the fuck are you, like, in the past, I couldn't imagine, like, I mean, half the pictures I see of women that are younger, like in their 20s or something, if somebody, when I was that age, the girls would have posted a picture like that, like, oh my God, everyone would have been like, what on earth are you doing? Like, you look, it would have been like, you look like a total slut. You look like a, and some of them were like, yeah, like you kind of do in some of these. Like, what is the purpose of this picture on some of these? It's like,
well, I think we know it's to get attention, and boy, it gets attention.
Well, yes,
so
it gets attention,
mission accomplished.
but for the wrong reasons and for the wrong people. And there's just so many where it's like, you do realize, like, that's great. You can be proud of your body, that you're attractive, that this or that, but also understand that, there's a lot of creepy motherfuckers out there who want nothing more than just to objectify your body. And that's about it. Mm-hmm. That's 100% it. Don't expect more. So I don't know. There's a lot of, I think confusion going on because of the massive influence that porn has in our world and the readily available options of it to young people. I think I can't imagine having that access of what's out there today when I was that young. I mean, fuck. It was just like amazing if you saw boobs on an old Playboy or something you found in your dad's,
or like a National Geographic.
Yeah, exactly. like that was, like, what do boobs look like? Well, National Geographic has some pictures.
It always did. And that's where a lot of, like, Generation X, that's where they got a lot of their visual education was those magazines.
It's
now
true.
Forget it. Their kids are inundated. And if you don't have that talk with your kids, Jimmy, the little fucked up neighbor kid, he already had the conversation with your kid.
Yeah, and he explained it as, Brittany down the road, she loves taking it 3 different ways from 5 guys at the same time.
Yeah, 2 girls, 1 cup.
And then everybody's like, oh, yeah, that's normal. Like, no, that's not how this should really be going. But that's anyway, let's go on to the story.
So, as we always do, we digress. So this story that was sent to us says, today when we were in the car, my dad threatened to disown me. He wasn't kidding. Dad was getting annoyed at Mom for suggesting a furniture out of our budget for the gaming room remodel. So they have a gaming room that they're going to remodel. And he really belabored the point, and I gave an audible sigh from the back seat. He said that he had no problem just leaving me there to fend for myself. And I responded with, okay. Well, then we stopped at a red light. He unlocked the car and suggested I get out. Mom was the one who locked it back up and later said that if he actually did try to disown me, there would be serious consequences. I confronted my dad about it, and he simply said to get better grades, which is fair. My grades haven't been the best as of late.
Why
but
would
he
you
actually wanted to disown me.
wanting to disown over bad grades and because you sighed about the
Furniture.
on a budget that, yeah. It seems like dad has some issues, and dad needs to kind of get things a little more grounded as far as what he's reacting to and how.
Do you think this is a kid? So let's just say dad's frustrated. He's getting pissed off. He's just frustrated. He's being a dad, and the kid is being over dramatic. That, dad was just being sarcastic.
Yeah, I think that you totally have that where it's a snowflake. And, because, I remember like parents joking about that sort of stuff. But I think so many people, they take it so literal. And even if it wasn't, meant literal and it was a joke, but if you can get more people to be upset about it and curse out your parents and, oh my God, how horrible could they possibly be to you because you present it this way when in reality it really was a totally different way. They're going to go with the way that's going to tear the parent down and not them. And God knows what else they're not saying about how they've aggravated and stressed out and made their parents' life a living hell with poor decision making.
Yeah, it's a really good point.
So,
I recall, and I wonder if forgive me, I think it was Bill Cosby who said this. I brought you into this world. I can take you out.
It's a lot of things Bill Cosby said that we shouldn't be quoting.
I know. But, that I think that is a threat that a lot of parents make, and they have no intention of
I think
killing their kid.
They used to make it. I remember I was thinking of that the other day when I was looking at stories and putting stuff together of, Bill Cosby used to, I thought the exact same thing. Cosby used to make that joke on the show, and other parents did too. It wasn't just fucking Bill Cosby.
Right.
But I think he more famously did it. It was like replayed a lot on things. And it was one of those things where it's like, okay, but if you really break down what they're saying, it's like they're talking about committing homicide on their children. And the amount of stories we have where that actually happens is like stunning. Like, oh, people really started taking this literal.
Yeah, it was a joke for a moment, and everybody giggled and laughed because they're like, I would never do that.
Yeah.
Well, there are parents who actually do that.
A lot that actually do. Like, that's half the stories I see when I'm trying to curate the shows, especially over on True Crime Today. It's half of them are like, okay, can we do one where it's not the parents killing the children?
Wouldn't that be nice? I think all of the segments that I sent to you of Fear Thy Family, they were all fucking parents killing their children.
Yeah. It's
like I had to get up and walk away and like just kind of do a reset because I'm like, this is really dark.
Yeah. You have to dig to find ones where it's not, or sometimes it's vice versa. But I'd say far more than not, it's the parents killing the children.
Yep.
And it's usually, it's not necessarily even, they were adults and they were, there was some sort of thing between them that was really troubling and everybody's angry and they're fighting. It's usually like against a defensive, like a defenseless 3 or 5 year old. It's not, your 18-year-old son pulled a knife and then you fucking shot him. It's like horrible, horrible shit. So
yeah, I think I sent a story about a was it a 3-year-old that was shot or stabbed? See, I don't remember. They're all blending together now. But yeah, a 3-year-old. What
I'm
the
sure
fuck
you
does
did.
a 3-year-old do to anybody that deserves that?
Well, and that's where it comes back to. It's like there's no coping skills. People do not have fucking coping mechanisms. And then that's how you end up killing your children, is when you don't have any of the tools to deal with things that aren't going to go perfectly. Because guess what? Nothing goes perfectly when you have children.
Oh, God, no.
It's called being a parent. And
you have to be flexible and just go with the flow. And sometimes your kids are absolute shits.
And if you're a narcissist, and that I think is one of the biggest, messes that we have in our society today, is you have this crazy amount of narcissism that is so amplified with young people that then when it's like, oh, you can't really be a narcissist and be a good parent, it just doesn't work. Because you have to be there for them. And guess what? All of the free time you had and everything that you thought about for yourself, that's all fucking gone. You find ways to kind of, work pieces back so you're sane and you're happy, but your life is different now when you have the child. And I think so many people are incapable of doing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, all right. If you got a crazy family story, we want to hear it. You can write in at 833-CRAY-FAM, 833-272-9326, or on our website, crazyfampod.com. Get all the episodes commercial-free, binge story after story after story on Apple Podcasts. Subscribe there. Get everything, the archive and everything, ad-free. Try it for 3 days free right now on Apple Podcasts.
That crazy and insane, my crazy family.